I was always Willie Thomas's son, right? And this is the joke that we always have, you know. I was always looked at and classed as Willie Thomas's son. But when I won my European title and then when I won my world title, he became Jordan Thomas's dad.
Welcome back to Make Life Kind, a podcast by Milk Education with a mission to drive wellness and diversity awareness into the education sector. I'm Sophie Cook, your host, and today we're going to be talking about the importance of determination and resilience from a young age, the reality of becoming a world champion and training to be an Olympian, and how to have a successful sports career. Last episode, we'd had Herman Dange in the Pod Cafe talking about the severity of drug crime amongst young people, the reality of life in prison, and how you have the power to turn your life around. So if you've not already listened to that, you can check that out on our previous episodes if you're on Spotify or YouTube. And if you are on Spotify, if you can remember to click that notification bell, you will be notified every time an episode comes out. So today, our guest is Jordan Thomas. Jordan started his sporting journey when he was just 4 years old. He's the former karate champion at just 24. He won it and was the first to take the title for Britain in 12 years. He's now in the cycle for the Paris 2024 Olympics in Taekwondo, and he's won 8 English titles and 4 British titles. Thank you so much for joining me. I feel like I'm in the room with a celeb, which I am, so welcome.
You know more than me.
You're like, did I do all
Did
that?
I do that?
Are you sure? No, thank you so much for joining
you.
me. I'm really excited. I'm excited you're here. I'm excited to talk about your amazing work, everything you've done. We've got your medals here, everything. If you're watching, you can see the medals. If you're listening, Jordan will describe them at some point. You know what? Go straight in and describe them now. Yeah.
So I've got my world gold with me, which is what I won in 2016. And I was ranked number 11 in that fight. Obviously, being ranked number 11, you're not the favorite, you know. But on the way to winning that, I beat ranked number 1 and I beat ranked number 2, and I beat the home nation of that tournament.
Amazing.
So, you know, that was a very tough challenge that I came through, and that's right at the front there. And I'm glad that's the biggest medal.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
Yeah, very shiny.
It's shiny. It's gold. It's multicolored.
It is,
we've got that there.
I've got brings the energy. Got my European title here, what I won in 2014. That was my first ever medal. I was ranked number 28 in the world at that time. I was 22 years old. I definitely wasn't meant to win that tournament. But the best thing about that medal is that I believed that I could do it. I didn't really.
Do you want to hold it up to the
hold
camera?
Hold it up, yeah.
Come on, hold it up to your camera.
Here we go. Can you see that? Zoom in. Yeah. Yeah, no. So the best thing about that one is I wasn't, I knew that I could do it. And I didn't need anybody else to kind of believe in me for that, so I went and took what was mine. And then I got my World Games medal, my second world medal that I won in 2017. And off the back of winning my first ever world gold, coming away with a second world medal, it just topped off I am meant to be here. I am, one of the best ever. I am one of the best ever 67 kilo fighters at this time of this decade of this generation.
So amazing, and congratulations.
Thank you.
But what first got you into karate?
Well, my dad was a world champion. He was so he was like in the golden era. So he where he come from, it was quite common to be a world champion. So he was surrounded by other champions, and so that was his inspiration for the people around him, and he found something that he was good at, and he just knew that he just wanted to be the best in the world. So in 1992 he went and won the world gold, and he's got a team world title as well, so he's actually a 2-time world champion. And then I have my godfather, who my dad's best friend, who's also a world champion, 4 times world champion, most successful team fighter, Mervyn Etienne. And so if you can imagine all these role models that I call auntie and uncle, luckily, this is what I say is my privilege, were world champions. So at 4 years old, for me to follow my dad's footstep, it was quite natural.
And tell me about what got you into sport from the side that's not the inspiration from your dad? What else encouraged that journey for you?
Yeah, so at 2 years old, I got run over. And as you can imagine, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't pretty. I got told by the doctors that I may never walk again. So yeah, like I kind of walked out. I followed my brother. He wanted to go and see. He's 7 years older than me, so he had a friend across the road. He opened the back gate. I followed him. He didn't know I was behind him. So obviously, when he crossed the road, I stepped out into the road and I got hit. So yeah, and obviously my mum still to this day don't speak about it. I'd love to get her to speak about it, but yeah, she's still to this day she doesn't speak about it. So you can imagine as a mother how that was. But yeah, so karate was a way, and I say not just karate, sports was a way of rebuilding and rehabbing to get back to where I needed to be. So yeah, I was always playing catch up.
And you say, there was a quote I read, from the age of 4, you say you had one goal, you wanted to be the best in the world at karate. And at 4 years old, like that's a bold thing to think at that age. Talk to me about that.
Do you know, it's funny. You ask me at any age, at age of 4, 5, 8, 10, 12, 16, even the year before, the day before I became world champion, I would say, if you ask me what do I want to be, it would be world champion. That's it. I want to be the best in the world. And that's, I've always said that. And the one thing that I would say, which was my privilege, I've already seen somebody else achieve that goal. So I knew that it could be done. And that's exactly what I wanted to do. I wanted to be the best in the world. I wanted to find that. And karate was the route that I took, and karate is where I took it.
So do you think with the inspiration from your dad, it was a bit of pressure to be successful as well?
I was always Willie Thomas's son, right? And this is the joke that we always have, I was always looked at and classed as Willie Thomas's son. But when I won my European title and then when I won my world title, he became Jordan Thomas's dad.
Yeah. I am now the famous one.
So it's very much that, I had to kind of find my own journey. It was very tough. It was very tough having that pressure, having somebody who's, having that high level, because people was watching me just because I was his son, and, having them high expectations, and I was trying to live up to that. But as soon as I realized it was very much about my journey, and is this something that I want? Yes, this is something that I want. So then I had to kind of take it into my own. I had to believe that I can do it, and I wanted to do it. So sorry,
do you think you would have, progressed with it as much as you did if your dad hadn't been that champion, if you hadn't have had that role model?
I think so. Just because, like I said, I realized that I wanted to do it and I wanted to achieve that goal. And I think that's the line. That's something that I want to do, and that's something I'm going to take. That's something that I'm going to go and get. And because that was the dream, and I had a route and I saw that route, I took that opportunity.
You believe you could be limitless?
100%. But it was going back to like a world title. I was world champion before I even became world champion. Deep what I just said. I was world champion before I became world champion.
I need a moment like that. That was like, whoa.
So for me, it was almost before I became that person. I had to, before I became world champion, I had to kind of believe it. I had to walk it, I had to talk it, I had to sleep it. And that's not just in karate. Everything I do, even these chats that I have day to day in my general life, I had to be a world champion. I stood like a world champion.
It's a type of manifestation,
100,
right?
Yeah, exactly. But also, I just claimed what was mine. And, when I walked into that tournament, I was already the champ.
So talking about when you tried out for the Olympics for 2020 in karate. So how close were you to that Olympic champion title?
Very well. My qualification tournament. I started off the cycle as a world champion, world game silver medalist, and I was the front runner in the UK to go to the Olympics under GB, and obviously leading up, I had to go to a qualification tournament. one of the most important fights that I took. I fought. It was against, I want to say, Serbia. I was fighting Serbia, and I was winning 1-0, and then I received I was winning 2-0, and I received a head kick, which is a 3-pointer in the last 2 seconds, and I just didn't have enough time to get it back, and that was my Olympic dreams done.
And how did that make you feel?
Terrible. I was training for that for 5 years, because remember, like, it's a 4-year cycle, but then we had a pandemic, we added a year, so I was training for that for 5 years, convinced that I was going, and then just to not go. Like, where do I go now? What do I do?
How did you deal with that, with this? You talk about your mindset and being limitless and I am this, and then having that reality. How did you deal with that?
I always say it's about how you respond to it. I'm not gonna lie, it was hard. I had to process it, but when I look back at that moment, I would actually say that I was quite weak, just because of how I responded. I didn't respond well to it. Where do I go from there? What do I do? I've been training for 5 years in a full-time set up, three sessions a day for the Olympics, going to these tournaments out the country maybe twice a month, maybe sometimes for 4 weeks, or and now it's just nothing. The cycle is just dead. Like, it was hard to cope. It was hard. So for about 6 months, I was like lost. I was trying to do other things and make things happen and still compete, but really it's not going anywhere, and because my heart's not in it. But then my now wife, she goes to me, do you think you could do taekwondo? And I was like, yeah, I could do taekwondo. And she was like, well, the GB taekwondo are holding a trial. I've signed you up. I was like, what? Okay.
Okay.
Cool. All right, let's do it. So yeah, there was 3 phases, and I managed to get past 3 phases.
Wow.
And ended up being on the GB taekwondo team. So that's that.
So she actually set you up on that path,
she set
really?
it up, and I kind of took that opportunity, and for me it was I look at that area, that whole period as a growth. It's about how you respond to it, and it's about how you want to go forward, because it wasn't a loss, because what I realized is I don't lose. Straight up, I don't lose. I just win. That's it. I win. What is failure? It's about how you respond to it. It's about how you go on forward, because that is an experience that I can use.
And for the training side of it, what's your routine like with, you see, you train in the Olympic now, but that championship training, it's quite similar.
Yeah, 100%. So 3 times a day, 9 till 5. Yeah, we live, breathe, eat. It's you've got a massive support network. You have a psychologist, you have doctor, physio, S&C coach, then you have the finance team, you have the media team, you have the lifestyle team, the performance director, the CEO, and I can go on. The analysts as well will travel with you to film every single fight that you have. So you can go over and you can analyze all your fights to be able to beat your opponents from around the world. Got all that whole support network. So I train 3 times a day, in the morning, and then I have a meeting or rehab session in the middle, around lunchtime or just above lunchtime. Then I have an S&C session, and if I don't do an S&C session, I'll do an individual session. So any to get that +1, I'll do it.
How do you motivate yourself to stick to that routine? Is it just because you're like, I need to do this and this is what it takes?
Well, this is the thing. Like, everyone says, like, how do you motivate? How do you do it? And I'm thinking, like, what's motivation? Why do you? Honestly, what is motivation when it's just something you got to do? It's like, I don't even think about it.
You just do it naturally.
I just do it. Whether or like, I actually think it's not about how you feel. You can think about this. I'm going to ask you a question now. I'm going to flip it. Yeah.
Oh, hold on. You're not the interviewer here. Go on.
I'm going to flip it,
Go on.
right? So on your worst days, have you had a good day?
No.
You haven't.
Maybe.
There's not so for example, you've been feeling sick, but you had a job interview.
Yeah, you just get on with it.
You just do it, right?
Yeah.
And then
The mind over matter
but then
situation.
on your good days, has things went wrong?
Yeah.
Right. So what does that tell you?
There's no good or bad days. It is just a day.
Yeah, but you just focus on the things that you can control and you just do it. And you control that outcome. And you control that outcome to win. And that's it. So you just go and do it. What is motivation? Whether you're sick, whether you're tired, whether you're it's just not a thing. It's just not a thing. You just go and do the job. So that's what high performance is. That's how you keep. That's an elite mind.
How to be successful.
How to be successful.
Yeah.
It's because it doesn't matter how you feel. You just do it. You control that outcome.
Deep. Well, I was going to say, what does it take to be a world champion? Clearly a mindset like that, right? Yeah. But it is that. It's the mind over matter.
Yeah.
Putting your feelings aside. You get on with it. And actually, the thing about you having a bad day, you go and do something, your day can turn around quite quickly. And it is mindset.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, if I do this, I'll feel better because I've done it.
Yeah. And winning is a feeling. Like I said to you, I don't lose. Winning is a feeling. So you have to be aware of how you feel. And that's why I wake up every day and be like, right, how am I feeling? Okay, cool. This is what I'm going to do. And this is what, this is my plan. And this is what I'm going to execute.
Yeah.
Winning is a feeling. Like we see it in all sports, we see it in the corporate world. When you are motivated and when you are happy, things, it kind of runs. You have a good run of things that just keep happening for you, and you don't even know why, but good things just keep coming and coming and coming. But then there's times when you are down and sad and negative. And that's when the negative stuff just keeps happening. You've got to spin that.
Yeah.
And that's why it's important to have that routine, to be aware of how you feel, to then take over and make sure that you control the outcome to get that positive energy into your daily life.
And circling back to the training side of it, what kind of toll does that have on you with the food and the, it's very strict, that kind of discipline? What impact does that have on you?
Yeah, so I'm a 67.5, so I'm a lightweight, right? Light middleweight. And I sit around about 72, 73 kilos. And that's quite good compared to a few other athletes. Sometimes they have to come down with a lot higher. But yeah, no, it's basically having a nutritional plan to be able to hit that goal safely. And that if you don't stick to that plan, it's going to be harder at the end and most likely unsafe. So it's about choices, making the right choices, but also being aware of your mental health at the same time, and having that positive relationship with food. That is the most thing that we have to kind of keep in mind and make sure that is in control, and just making sure that we hit that goal, and it's being professional.
Have you ever struggled with anything like an eating disorder?
I've not struggled with an eating disorder, but I can see in sport it can be quite common, because especially in a weight controlled sport, and even in other sports as well, where there is a demand to be a certain body type. So that is quite difficult. So even like focusing on body image, for example, I'm still competing, I'm still an athlete. And I've never really been out of shape, right? But I know when I stop, is it realistic to be like this? So it's kind of having that positive image and that self-love for yourself. And that's what you got to practice. And, for me, so I'm dyslexic, right? So I have a routine, and I have to write. So I have a book what kind of gives me a set routine, and I do 3 minutes in the morning and 3 minutes in the evening. And in the 3 minutes is about, okay, what's my plan? I've got 3 things to do in the day, and I make sure I have to tick them off, but also a positive affirmation that I'm going to carry through that day. And then I will then reflect on that day to see if I've achieved that. But also I use that book to create habits. Winning habits, positive habits, and I'll make sure that I tick that list. And I think that's a very safe way to make sure that you are projecting them positive habits to get where you need to be.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah,
I might take you up on that. I might do the same. So what have you had to sacrifice to achieve what you've achieved, you know, in relationships, family?
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
And this is one of the hard things about an athlete life, because you have to be quite selfish, and it's quite time consuming as well, especially when you need to go certain competitions to get certain rankings and certain points. So there's actually, you have to go. I've missed out on weddings, I've missed out on funerals, I've missed out on family time, birthdays, and you know, unfortunately, it's unfortunately that's all part of the athlete life. But if I didn't surround myself with positive people, I would have found that difficult, and I wouldn't have found it easy to go to these competitions knowing I have the full support of the people around me.
And that helps because you've come from like that athlete background as well.
100%.
But then imagine a young person that hasn't got that background, they're on their own, they're trying to make that life for themselves. How can they kind of deal with that feeling of sacrifice?
Yeah, I think at the same time, going back to like, they haven't got that, you can still create the people around you, and you choose the people to have around you. And I always say, you have dream stealers and dream supporters, right? And it's true, you decide to surround yourself with who you want. And the dream stealers could be the closest people to you. They might not know it, but they are, right? Or they might know it just to, bring you down a little bit, but you have to kind of recognize that. You have to be around people who support you, who are happy for you. Every time you do something good, they're celebrating with you. It's their win. Why would you want to be someone who steals your dream and stops from where you're going? That is a massive thing for me. Always surround yourself with dream supporters.
And surround yourself with good people.
Yeah.
Especially from school. It's, the wrong friends can have such an impact on you, can't they?
100%. 100%. I've had friends in the past, especially at school. I was surrounding myself with the wrong people, and outside of school, and it took me a few years to kind of recognize who the people I was rolling with, and so it's kind of, you have to make that conscious decision, because the people you're rolling with does reflect of who you are, and is that the right thing? And the one thing that you have to kind of take control of is you have to decide, is that person worth rolling with? Because you can see where that person's going. Do you want to join him? Do you want to join her? So it's up to you.
Did you experience any bullying and racism in school, whether it was primary or secondary?
Yeah, so I went to a school that was quite dominantly like white. So especially in my year, there was a very few black people, and also I was from Luton as well. So I was from Luton, going to school in Hemel Hempstead. So I was going out from school, and I always got a treatment. I always used to get people walk past me and thought it was acceptable to call me a bourbon biscuit or an Oreo, or making monkey noise out of me. And then on the flip side, for them, because I'm mixed race, it would be like, oh, you're not even black. You're not even black. And then it would be like, yeah, you're black. Let me touch your hair. Let me see what you're saying. And it's, that's what I kind of had to deal with. So I was always fighting in school. I was always fighting in school. I was always sitting outside the headmistress office. They called it top corridor back then. I was always up the top corridor. And naturally, if any of the people who I went to school with, I kind of want to apologize the way I reacted, but that's the only way I knew how to react, is to fight my way out. Because now the education that I have, I know now to deal with it in a different way.
Yeah. But how are you to know at the time that you're defending yourself?
yeah, and also I was like the only one there, and I didn't really have the representation in the school either to kind of someone to tell me different.
Mm.
And if someone did tell me different, it's like, how would you know? How do you know how I feel?
Yeah. You're not going through what I'm going through.
Yeah.
And what would you say to a child going through that level of bullying now?
I would just say, right now, it's very, very important to kind of be yourself. Don't let people make you someone that you're not, because different is being different is what's going to make you successful.
Yeah.
Embrace it. Like, I love being different. I don't care what people say. Different is what makes me stand out. So if you are in that situation, be different. Be different. Embrace the difference. And that's what everybody should be doing. Embrace the differences. Embracing the cultures.
And have you experienced racism in your sports career?
I have. So there, I used to get some DMs from some other countries, and call me the N word quite a bit. And sometimes, they're not as educated as we are, especially going to some of the Eastern European countries. Getting, they look at you in a certain way, and you kind of already know what it is, but why they're looking at you like that. I remember going to Serbia actually, and it's just funny. This is a great example. So we went to Serbia and a European Championship. So I think we spent maybe 1 week out there. So we all got to the airport, and half of the people were saying, "Oh, this was the best trip ever," and the other half was like, "We had the worst time ever." The people who were saying it was the best time were white. And everyone who was saying that they had the worst time were black. The reason being is we had two totally different experiences, and they were so unaware of what was happening. We was going down the street, people going in front of us in the queue, shoving us out of the way. Every time we walked somewhere, we would get they would just look at us and follow us through the street. It was the dirty looks. We'll have even parents and saying, stopping their kids to point at us to say, wow, look. It was almost coached out. So we had a completely different experience. We didn't feel safe out there.
And how can schools help to fight that racism? Because a lot of it, hate isn't, you're not born hating people, it's learned, isn't it? So
100%.
So how can schools help that? Obviously, a lot of the time it is parents need to help in that respect as well. Yeah. But how can schools help fight racism?
Education is something which is very important, and that's not just for the black kids or anybody who I think it's for everybody. Education's for everybody, and this is something I know. When I was in school, when we went into the history class, all I got taught was about slavery.
Yeah,
I didn't know about any of the kings and queens that were from my background. Nobody taught me about them. I didn't know about that. I was just taught about slavery, and I think there was one sometimes when we I think then Black History Month came in, and then there was a bit more of a touch on it, and that's nice. And I think that it's good that people can get educated in. But I'm black for 12 months of the year. I'm living it. I'm 12 months of the year. I'm black. So, for me, I'm living Black Month every month.
Why is it just 1 month? People are celebrating it.
Yeah.
That's it though. And with schools, it's great to book diversity speakers in for that month or that week that's once a year, but we should be advocating for diversity 365.
I totally agree, because then that's real representation. So when you have them kids who need that representation, they're getting that for 365 a year. And I think that's why it's important to, focus on EDI.
Yeah. Do you think it should be part of the curriculum, a lot of these other stories, cultures, diversity, inclusion?
100%.
Not just learn a bit about slavery and then that's it.
I think the 21st century, this is 21st century and we have a chance to change it. This is our time to change it. And, don't give in to peer pressure, because it is about who you roll with as well, and and it's hard to say no to them people. And it's about being different from that person, be able to stand up and actually just go into that one person and say, all right, I don't understand, but look what I have here. Maybe show him an opportunity, show him that you can do this, bring in a representation, say, look, see, this person's done it, this person's done it. I gave a talk to a sporting governing body, and they were talking about what can we do about to help the kids to show that they have representation. And they showed me a poster and all the kids were white. And I said, okay. And then they showed me another poster and all the role models were white. And I said, look, this is my privilege, and this is where I can speak to experience. My dad was black, my godfather was black, and a lot of people I call auntie and uncles were black, and they were world champs. So I knew that it was possible to do that. And I said, if you put Usain Bolt there, if you put Monty Panesar, who's in cricket, a cricket star there, if you put, a diverse, group of people, a group of role models on your poster, then that person goes, oh, what? He looks like me. Yeah, I could do that. That's maybe something that I want to do. And even if it's not something that they want to do, they know that they can be successful in themselves.
Yeah, that's so true. It reminds me of the new Ariel film that's coming out.
That's right.
The reaction to that, it's that representation. It's a child watching a Disney film or being in school and seeing a poster and thinking, hey, that looks like me. I could do that. And I don't think teachers, maybe parents, don't really understand how important it is to see someone that looks like them achieve their dreams.
Yeah.
Like, it links to, I'll get onto your sessions now, you coming into a school and a child going, oh, he looks like me and look at him. Mm-hmm. Like, I can do it.
Yeah. And, I think there's a light in everybody. And that's very important as well. The path is impossible until it's shown that it is possible. And that's what we want to show every kid, that they have a light in them. Because every single one of them can be successful. Every single one can be successful. And if they have somebody else that they can come in and say, this is the path and this is what you can do, then even if we help one person, that one person can help hundreds. And if we help them, if that person helps hundreds, that hundreds can help thousands. And then it goes on to millions and billions. And that's the only way we're going to change. Who's not going to support peace? And if you don't support peace, why?
Yeah. So your sessions, talk to me about that. What can you offer schools?
Yeah, so I can offer martial arts sessions. And these sessions can bring out confidence, helps resilience and discipline at the same time. But at the same time as well, I'll speak to the students and bring a bit of a motivational talk to them that, we're doing martial arts, but this is my philosophy on life as well. This is how I live my life. And, hopefully they can go on to their classrooms and go on to their outdoor lives and whatever they're dealing with and bring something there to maybe use it as a coping mechanism. If I can give them something, that little bit there to go out and win, then that's what my martial arts does. And I'm also offering presentations as well on philosophy as well, and that's something that I can give them. It can be one-to-ones, it can be a group session, and this is a session on confidence, resilience, being positive, being with the dream stealers and the dream supporters, and also any cultural matters as well. Representation is very important, and relating to everyone. So that's what I plan to do.
And you've got a lot of experience going into schools and delivering these types of sessions.
Yeah, and this is around the world. I've been doing it, and so yeah, I've been up and down the UK, but I've also done my seminars in Holland. I plan to go to Africa soon as well. South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe, Brazil. These things that I've gone to many European countries, Belgium and so on and so forth, to give my knowledge, to give my support, and give basically an insight on what it takes. And this is to basically, I think if we get you right, then the next stage will be right. And I think that's the most thing. We help prepare that person to get to that next stage, whether it is infant school to primary school to high school to college, college to work life, wherever they are in life, let's get them to that next stage, because that path needs to be shown that it is possible.
And what kind of impact have you had on students when you have done these sessions?
Very, very positive. One story that what happened, I was teaching a martial arts session in Manchester, and I didn't really think about any at the time, but this one kid, he said, is this going to be on every week? And I said, unfortunately not, but it will be, if it's up to your teachers. If they want me back, they can get in contact. They have my number, and maybe we can sort something out. And the other day, there was these 3 kids on a scooter riding around with their hoods up. And behind me, I hear, look, there's that karate champion. Look, there's that karate champion. Yo. And then they were smiling, they stopped, they were joking about, and then they rode off. And I just like, oh, that was nice. I mean, they're good boys. They look like little terrors. They terrorize, they look like little terrors. But for them to stop and kind of acknowledge that I was there and give me a bit of their time, I thought, for a kid to do that, that's massive. And I didn't think about it I didn't think about it much until my wife goes, Jordan, do you realize that you look like them, and that's why they've warmth to you, and that's why that kid asked you if I was going to do it every week. And that kind of put it in my head. I was like, actually, if I put myself at his age and somebody like me came into the school, I would be gassed too. I'd be gassed, like that, because you can switch off in assemblies and you can switch off in the classrooms when it just doesn't relate to you, and you feel like, but you look like, that you don't look like me, so is that even possible for me? So, no, this session ain't for me. This class ain't for me. This ain't, so, at least I've now shown him that if he wants to do something in life, he can do it. And that's it.
And why did you want to be a milkfluencer?
Do you know what? It's so positive. Straight away, when I spoke to Emma, she didn't really need to speak to Emma. She sold me on the first where she wanted to go with the whole milkfluencer. When she didn't need to sell nothing. The fact that you're reaching out to the youth and helping them to get to that next stage, which I'm all about, and it just links in with where I want to go as well. So I'm still developing and I'm still changing, and I think this is a great place to start, where I can go out and reach the kids under the milk education, and I think there's some great things to come.
Well, we're dead excited to have you on board, and thank you so much for sitting down with me today.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed speaking to you, and some powerful moments in there. It's you know what? I am very inspired. And I'm sure all the schools and children and everyone listening will be, but thank you so much again, Jordan. So if you want to hear more from Jordan, you're interested in the work we do, Follow us, Milk Education, on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok now. It's Milk Education UK, all one word. There's lots of snippets on there from the previous podcast too. Or give our team a call now on 0333 360 1110 to book Jordan and others for your school. We actually have about 20 Milkfluencers now and counting who are fighting stigmatised topics in education around LGBTQ2 plus issues, racism, mental health, neurodiversity, knife crime, diversity, inclusion, drug crime, body positivity, and so much more. Go to milk-education.co.uk/milkfluencers to read more about them. Thanks for listening or watching wherever you are to Make Life Kind. And just before you go, if you're on Spotify and you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to save, follow, and click that notification bell. And don't forget to rate it too. If you're watching or listening on YouTube, subscribe below and leave us a comment. Let's make life kind together.